Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanora Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitatvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadashi, first chapter, and we are at the sloka 30th that we did. Just chant again. These are 3 lines. Kurvate karma bhogaya, kurvate karma bhogaya, karma kartum cha bhunjate, karma kartum cha bhunjate, najjam kita iva vartad, najjam kita iva vartad, avartantaramashute, avartantaramashute, vrajante janmano janma, vrajante janmano janma, labhante naiva nirvrutam, labhante naiva nirvrutam. So, after discussing the Sthula Sarira and the subtle body, the Sukshma Sarira and Karana Sarira, and one, Ishvara doesn't identify himself with the individual, with the bodies, because he is Sarvajnaha. Whereas Jiva, not knowing his own self, and that is a Mula Vidya, takes himself what is not as I am, therefore takes the body, mind, intellect as I am this. And that is the notion. Whenever we say I am this and I am this, that means there is a confusion there, and that confusion is due to lack of the absolute knowledge that I am, that Atma, and Atma is the same as Brahman. And so Brahma Satyam Jaganvidya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, that understanding is not there. So I take myself, the world itself is real, because I am the body, mind, intellect. Body, mind, intellect is real, therefore this world is real, and I want to enjoy the world. So Lord has created for Bhogayatanam, for enjoying the world of objects, 14 lokas and all that we went through. So therefore, in order for me to gain the happiness, I want to perform an action to get what I don't have, because I don't have it now, and in order to get, an effort is required. So kurvate karma bhogaya karma kartuncha bhunjate. So I had to perform an action to gain something, and in the process of gaining, or I may not gain it, depending upon, since it's not in I'm not an omniscient, I take myself the body, my intellect, and body, my intellect are powerful because it's localized, and therefore I am only a karta, I am only an actor, and karma and the action I perform, and the result of the action doesn't belong to me. But I expect some results, therefore I perform an action. Nobody performs any action without expecting some result. So don't say perform an action without expecting a result. That's not possible. Even Krishna taught Bhagavad Gita expecting that Arjuna at least understand a little bit. So without expecting any result, I cannot perform any action. But I should also expect that my expectations may not be fulfilled. So that's because I may expect something, but the results are not for me to dictate. So it may come, it may meet my expectations, it may not meet my expectations. In fact, we expect everybody to meet our expectations, and that's a big problem. Why? Because I want everyone to meet my expectations, and they don't meet it, and I get angry. Kama, Krodha, Mohama, all those things come into picture, because nobody is meeting my expectations. Because also I am not meeting their expectations also. That I won't remember, but only say people are not fulfilling my expectations. I want everybody to fulfill my expectations, and that's where the problem is, because people keep continuously changing and situation cannot meet my expectations itself. So the Gurudev used to make a statement that disappointments come to those who make appointments. That means if I make an appointment that I need this, I need that, then I may get disappointed also. But if I don't expect anything, that I may perform an action with expectation, but I am ready to receive whatever that comes, and that's what is called prasada buddhi. Prasada buddhi is, I expect maybe a sweet, but it may be hot or it may be some ash, but when he says prasadam, I have to accept it without questioning it because it's coming from the Lord. So a reverential attitude is inculcated for a Hindu when somebody says this is a prasadam. So we accept without questioning it, questioning how much I am getting, how much other fellow is getting, is it sweet, is it hot, is it tasteless, all that questions do not. If it is a water, it can be a tulsi, or it can be sweet, it can be hot, it can be anything. But once it's a prasadam, we know it's coming from the Lord, therefore we accept it. But Lord is not just in the temple, and prasadam is that comes from the Lord, and anything that comes from the Lord should be taken as prasadam. So all the results are coming from the Lord because He is karma paladata. So I accept the results as the prasadam, then my attitude in receiving it is because that is what is coming. But I may not like it, but that's what Lord is giving. And I may not like prasadam, but it is what is coming as a pujari distributing as a prasadam. So I have to take it with a reverential. If I don't like the result, I have to perform the action better way next time, so that the results of the next action can meet my expectations, because the results have to follow the laws. So karma kartum cha bhunjate. So I am performing an action to enjoy the results of the action, and in the process, whatever I am getting, I told there are two types of results, tangible and intangible. Intangible results is, it is leaving a vasanas in my mind to like it or not to like it, and therefore I try to avoid things I don't like, and I try to gravitate in the direction what I like, and that's how whole rat race is. And I shift in the direction of my likes, and the other fellow things I may not like, but other fellow may like it, he'll be shifting in that direction. So people are running all over place in order to gain what they want. What they want is that which gives them happiness. So in the process of performing an action, I am getting a result which is tangible, enjoyable, or sufferable, whatever, depending upon the action. But also it leaves an impression of raga dveshas, likes and dislikes, which are called vasanas, and that will help me to get back again. I will have a desire to repeat that experience or to avoid that experience, and therefore I keep on doing the actions to gain what I want and to get rid of what I don't like, and that becomes a continuous action, result, action, result, action, result, and life after life, from morning to evening, day in and day out, month, years, and the whole generation of my whole life itself, acting, 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 acting. Because I can only act in the present, and results come in the future to the action, and I have only choice in performing the action and expect the results. When the result comes, I have to enjoy that in the result come in the present, but I have to perform another action if I don't like it, or if I like it, to repeat that in order to gain more happiness. This goes on. But in the process, I am accumulating vasanas. The more vasanas, more desires, and therefore more agitations in the mind to act, and more actions, and again more results, and again more vasanas. So I get into a whirlpool, and that's why it says Najyam Kita Iva Iva avartad avartantaramashate. So avarta is the whirlpool, insect caught in the whirlpool, and somehow if it gets out, it gets into another whirlpool only. So I'm going from Janma to Janma to Janma, and every time I'm getting into the life cycle, day in and day out. And Shankara says, Jineyamanyo sayam prata sasiravasanto punarayataha kala kridati gacchatyayuhu. So day in comes, day and today is gone, tomorrow comes, tomorrow is gone, month is gone, and the year comes, seasons come, season go. Jineyamanyo sayam prata sasiravasanto. These seasons come and seasons go, years gone and so on, and one day we kick the bucket. What have we done? Nothing much other than, so we are born, and that's what the tomb will say, the date of birth and date of departure. There is only dash. As Gurudev says, you are dashing from birth to death, from the womb to the tomb, and nothing accomplished at all. So here it is called avartantaramashade. So going from one caught up in the one whirlpool to the another whirlpool. Radante janmano janma labante naiva nirvrutam. So just as the insect caught in the river going from one whirlpool to other whirlpool, a human being or the Jiva is caught from one life after the other life, and life can be either Manushya Janma or it can be any animal or a plant or in any lokas also. Why? Depending upon the type of vasanas I have to exhaust it. So I have to find an environment conducive to exhaust the vasanas. This is what we did last time. We will do the sloka 31. Let's chant together. Satkarma paripakaste, Satkarma paripakate, Karunanidhi no dhrutaha, Prapyati rataruchayam, Prapyati rataruhu chayam, Vishramyanti yatha sukham. So this together, Satkarma paripakate, Karunanidhi no dhrutaha, Prapyati rataruhu chayam, Vishramyanti yatha sukham. So janma to janma to janma, continuously endless cycle. When it started, it is a beginningless. Karma is a beginningless because avidya is beginningless, and it started because of avidya. Avidya means not knowing myself. I take myself what I am not as myself, and I perform an action, accumulate vasanas, and that is what is essentially called karma also. The vasanas are also called karma. And Krishna says in the 8th chapter, the creation is due to karma. Karma means the vasanas of all jivas put together is the driving force for the vasanas. So since it is a beginningless, but it can end, only can end, how do it end? And here is the process of ending. He says, Satkarma paripakate. So Satkarma, when the good actions, paripakam, when it's essentially when they reach a maturity, when the maturity of the good actions. So now we have called good actions or bad actions. Good actions called dharmic actions, and bad actions are adharmic actions. What are dharmic actions and what are adharmic actions? What is the litmus test to say this is dharmic and that is dharmic? Oh, things will change, and these are all depends on the time. What is good before is not necessarily good. People talk like that, but there are the good and bad. They are universally good and universally bad also, and there are relatively good and relatively bad. This has to be understood. So don't buy the thing that the good depends only on the time and space and all that. Things keep changing and we have to adopt and all that. What is changing type is different from the eternal entity of good and what is bad. So what is good and what is bad, that's what is dharma. Dharma means that which is absolutely good, and adharma, that which is not at all good. And that's what good actions versus bad actions. So what makes something action good or bad? So if that selfish actions are obviously bad and selfless actions are good. So in every society, a person who is selfless, we respect him because we know it's a good action. So it doesn't depend upon the space and time. And there are certain good and certain bad things that are called values, and values are Krishna talks about values, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, rajam. In the 13th chapter, in the 16th chapter, and in many chapters, he talks about the good actions are required to prepare the mind for what? For the satkarma. That's why in the Sanatana Dharma, which is essentially called Hinduism, the Dharma comes first, and moksha is ultimate. In between only we have artha and kama. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So artha and kama are bounded by one side dharma with a goal in moksha. So that is the Sanatana Dharmam. That's what is Hinduism. We call Hinduism is not ism, it is actually dharmam, Sanatana Dharmam, eternal dharma of the human being itself is Sanatana Dharma. So what is Sanatana Dharma? What is that good? Says simple litmus test is that what I don't want others to do to me, I should not do to others. That's a simple statement. And what I want others to do to me, I should do others. What I expect others to do to me, I should do to others. That becomes my dharma. So whole Bhagavad Gita is swadharma. Why? It starts with dharma. Dharma kshetre. So it starts with, so it is the teaching of dharma itself. What is my dharma? And that's what Krishna teaches. This is your dharma. And as a Kshatriya, this is your dharma. And for Uddhava, he teaches differently in the Bhagavatam, where he teaches you have done this enough, now you go and do meditation, go to Himalayas and sit and meditate. So, but for Arjuna, he doesn't say go and sit Himalayas and sit, you have to fight, because that is your dharma. Because you have been paid as an army officer, and now you cannot run away in the middle of the war, you have to fight, and then once you win, then you can go on. That's what dharma is. So what I want others to do to me, I have to do to others. What I don't want others to do to me, I should not do to others. I don't want others to steal my property. So stealing is not dharma. So I should not steal other people's property. This is a value. Even a thief also knows this value. Why? Because he doesn't want his stolen property to be stolen by anybody else. In fact, he cannot go to court, sir, he stole my stolen property. The property that I stole, somebody, he is stealing. He cannot go to court. So what does he do? He has to shoot the other guy, because he has to take revenge right there. Because he does not want others to steal his property. That means he knows the value of stealing. But at the same time, he is ready to commit. So he wants others to follow, but he is not ready to follow. That's called the unassimilated values. We are talking about when I expect others not to do, then I should not do to others. When I expect others not to tell me lies, then I should not tell lies. That's why Satyam becomes important. Satyam becomes important not only for this reason, but different reason. Because whenever I lie, who knows that I am lying? I know it, because I know what is truth and I am lying. So what is the truth? Buddhi knows what is the truth. Mind says for convenience or fear or whatever it lies. That means there is a conflict between the buddhi, intellect. My conscious pricks when you say conscious is nothing but here it is an intellect. Intellect knows what is the truth, whereas the mind is compromising to gain something or to avoid something. And whenever I compromise, I commit a sin. That's what Swami Chinmaya says. The sin is nothing but divergence between the mind and intellect. Mind knows what is right, but I don't have the guts to follow what is right. I feel like doing things which is wrong. And whenever I compromise myself against my own value judgment, then I commit a sin. If I don't know, then it's ignorant. Intelligence itself is not there. Then I become like like a child, he doesn't know what is right and wrong. So it is a parental responsibility to teach the child what is right and wrong. Because the child doesn't know. But as he grows up, his intellect grows and he knows what is right and wrong. So until then, it becomes a parental responsibility to teach them dharma. So satkarma. So whenever I perform an action when in a self-centered activity where it benefits not me but total in general, that helps other people without expecting me to give a pat on the back or anything. If I perform an action just for that has to be done, helping somebody and so on and so forth, that becomes a satkarma. So satkarma paripakate, if I keep performing the good actions in the process, my punyam is higher compared to my papa. So this punya papa ratio is the one that is determining where I'll be born in the next life also. Where is I born in the next life is depends upon the, because there are 14 lokas, and the higher lokas the more punyam and less papam, and the lower lokas more papam and less punyam, and in the middle, in the middle is what the bhuloka is, where the punyam and papam are balanced. So that's depending on that. So whenever I perform the punyam, where that is where I want to go to higher identity, where there is less selfishness involved in the activities, then when that is fructifying, in what way it fructifies? And it is essentially fructifies in gaining a teacher, karunanidhi. And here is where I am performing an action, a good action, not for my benefit, but just without my benefit, for the loka kalyanam, for the benefit of the whole world, for not for my selfishness, not for my name, not for my fame, because I don't care for the name and fame, but I am doing it because this has to be done. When the child is getting molested, I have to stop it, and that's my duty. It becomes my duty, and that becomes satkarma. So satkarma paripakate karunanidino dhruta. So this the karunani udhruta. So karunanidhi means one who is the most compassionate one. So udhruta uplifts me out of compassion. Not that he has to uplift, but he is doing it out of compassion. Karunanidhi. So why is he doing? Because he was in the same situation once and some other Mahatma has uplifted him. Remembering that, says it is his duty to uplift when he finds somebody suffering. Therefore, says just as the insect is getting caught from one pool, then some Mahatma uplifts that insect and takes it out and puts it under the outside, under the tree. And prapya tira taruhu chayam, in the chayam, in the shade of taruhu, in the tree, says Nira, the close by, where he places so that the insect becomes comfortable. Now it is got out of the whirlpool, and it says Vishramanti Yadha Sukham. So Vishram, when it's essentially taking a shelter, it relaxes, and Yadha Sukham. It says mind becomes, Yatha Sukham means mind becomes less agitated, and now that is the mind that can learn. In the case of a Kita, it becomes Shantam, it gets less agitated, now slowly it recovers and then it moves out. But in the case of a Jiva, where I'm going from Janma to Janma to Janma, when my Punyam is maturified, then a compassionate teacher will come to me. Not I am going in search of. A compassionate teacher comes on the way, uplift me somehow and helps me to get out of this going from one Janma to another Janma. So what is that I had to do? It's not that I am going in search of a teacher. It is out of the Satkarma. And that is the same as expressed as the grace of the God. by grace of God, somehow without my knowledge, because adrushtam means not that I am planning for this, it's without my own planning, somehow a teacher out of compassion comes on my way, and I find he is my teacher and I need his guidance for me too. So I had to discover that he is my teacher. No teacher will come say, I am your teacher. So someone went and asked Swami Chinmayananda, are you my guru? Swami said, no. He said, no guru will say, I am a guru. If some guru says, I am your guru, just go away from that. Because a guru will not declare that I am guru. You have to discover that you are my guru or he is my guru, because the one who I feel is helping me or his guidance is helping the most, he becomes a guru. A correct guru is later in the Vedantic parlance. A teacher is a correct one, a right teacher is the one who directs the disciple to the scripture as an authority. Because I learned from my teacher this one. If it helps you, that's good. So scripture is a pramana. So shastrasya guru vakyasya. Shastram comes first. Then shastram I cannot go directly. So for that tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet. You approach a teacher. So guru helps in interpreting or for me to understand the shastra properly, and out of compassion he has to teach me, and that is essentially karunanidhi. Those who have discovered a teacher, they can see that he is a karunanidhi, because out of compassion that he is teaching me. And that's what does a student recognizes the teacher. Not the teacher will recognize the student will recognize, because teacher will be teaching everybody, and in all our scriptures it is the student who goes to a teacher. We don't have, teacher doesn't come and knock the door and say, you believe in this, otherwise you go to hell, you have to believe, otherwise you will go to, all this. We don't have that kind of Jehovah's Witnesses coming into our, so they used to come to our places and say, if you believe in the Jesus, you go to heaven, otherwise you go to hell. And he says, so that kind of, you don't have to teach, because this is a fact, these are signs. So science teacher doesn't go and knock the door, he says, believe in gravitational force, otherwise you go to hell. If you believe, then you go to heaven. He says, if you want to learn gravitational force, come unto me. If you have prepared your mind, then I can teach. So that's why scripture says, for that you approach a teacher. Says tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet. Teacher is reveling in himself by himself. He is not going to knock the door to door and become my disciple. And he doesn't care how many disciples comes or not. He doesn't depend upon, hey, I have so many sishyas. He doesn't care for that. Real teacher. What he does is, whoever comes, well, depending upon the nature of the student, he helps him if the student has the desire to learn. So depending upon the desire, oh teacher, I thought you are a teacher. Say, teach me if you can. So he says, no, I don't need to teach you. You go to another teacher. So only the one with the humility. So tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Krishna himself says, you go with pranipata. Pranipata means completely flat. That means with a humility you go, and pariprasna, you ask the question. Teacher doesn't ask a question, how much do you know Vedanta and all that. He doesn't ask. You ask the question. Depending upon what you ask, teacher can see how much you have understood and what you have not understood. Then he can guide you and help you. So the questions or doubts have to be raised by the student, and depending on the student, the doubt, the teacher guides the disciple. So Visramyanta yadha sukam. So this is the scripture also says, you don't go in search of a teacher. Durlabam trayamevaitattu daivanugrahetukam manushyatvam mamutshutvam mahapurusha samsrayam. And this is in the Viveka Chudamani that we took essentially in the Advanced Vedanta. If you go to YouTube and ask for Advanced Vedanta, we follow very closely the Viveka Chudamani, although we covered a lot of other things as well. and skip some of the things also. So it is essence of the, after the introduction to Vedanta, we did advanced Vedanta. And in that, in the Viveka Chudamani, in the very first few slokas, the Shankaracharya says, Durlabam Trayamevaitattu Daivanugrahetukam Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurusha Samsrayam. So these three are very difficult indeed. It's only by the grace of God you get these three. Durlabam Trayam. Durlabam Trayamevaitattu. Because of Daivanugrahetukam. Because of the God's grace. So why God is gracing some people and some not? It's not that God is Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. He is impartial to everybody. Only those people who have Satkarma, that's what it is, Satkarma Paripakate, those people who have the good deeds, the results he provides it. So he is a Karma Paladata. So in the Karma Paladata, he provides the results as a teacher. This person has evolved himself by his, so he needs now a further guidance to go beyond the Janma to Janma. So in order to do this, so the teacher comes because of the grace of God. So here the three things he is specified. One is Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha Samsrayam. Being born as a human being, Manushyatvam, that itself is Durlabham. Why? Because the man, human being, is endowed with the intellect, and Vedanta is taught to the human being only, not for the cows and dogs and all that, because they have no discriminative intellect. Intellect has not gone. So therefore, only those who can question, and only those people who are ready to question and appreciate the answer, they go to Vedanta. Other people say, you follow it, if you ask the questions, that's a blasphemy. Then those are different, these are belief systems. They are only, you have to believe it in order to follow. So Vedanta is not a belief system. You don't have to believe that you are the absolute truth. You don't have to believe that the light travels on such and such a speed. If you believe, it's not a question of belief, it's a fact only. So Vedanta teaches a fact. This fact is not an objective fact, but it is an absolute fact that includes both the subject and object. Therefore, it is a Vedanta. Veda means knowledge. Science also means knowledge. And Anta means this is ultimate knowledge. Therefore, it is absolute science. And it is the Manushyatvam. He has a capacity to know. So all human beings, if you advertise we are going to have a Vedanta class, how many will show up? Very few shows up. Other people are busy. Busy with what? Trying to get happiness. Where there is no happiness. If you tell them, they won't listen also. So many people are going outwardly, because remember, the senses are going outwards, and for them to turn inwards, it makes a lot of effort, and many are not ready to do it. And there's no point for them, let them go until their mind is mature enough and with the kicks in life, until they understand what is the meaning of this life. Then they come to Vedantic class. So Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, the desire to get liberated, to stop this Janma to Janma, comes only for few people. And Mahapurusha Samsraya, then acquaintance with a proper teacher. Mahapurusha is here, the one who is Sotriyam Brahmanishtam, the one who has gone through a rigorous understanding of, or the study of Vedanta, that he can teach, because any doubts, different types of, the sadhaks have different types of varieties of doubts. So he has to churn enough so that he can clarify any doubt that arises in the mind of a sadhak. So that is essentially Mahapurusha. And you have to that Mahapurusha Samsrayam is Durlabham, is also. So not only I have a desire for liberation, also the acquaintance with the great soul happens because of my own Satkarma, Sattvamma Paripakate. So Gurudev used to say, don't go in search of the teacher, because people you say, I want a teacher and I'm having all the things, camera, and all that, and tape recorder, I'm going searching for a teacher in Himalayas. says, go in search of teacher. Teacher shall come when you are ready. But when you are ready, be ready. In the sense of satsangatve nissangatvam. Don't go and evaluate this teacher is right, that teacher is wrong. Listen to everybody, but if that teacher helps your mind to uplift in a better way and you understand that you are gaining the real knowledge, then he is the right teacher. And that was to be understood. So that is Mahapurusha Samsrayaha, is these three things are difficult indeed, and only due to Purva Janma, which is the same as God's grace, is you will lead to a proper teacher. Now we'll do 32. Upadesyamavapyaivam Acharya Tattvadarshinaha Panchakosha Vivekena Labhante Nirvrutim Param. Together, Upadesamavapyaivam Acharya Tattvadarshinaha Panchakosha Vivekena Labhante Nirvrutim Param. Upadesam Evam Upadesam Avapya Acharyaha Tattvadarshinaha. So, for what does he do? When I get a proper teacher, because Karuna Nidhi, and when I ask the appropriate questions, depending upon the questions, he can evaluate my mental evolution, and therefore he provides the answer that needed for a clarification, because it is avidya is the fundamental problem. Only way avidya can be removed by vidya only, by the knowledge only. All other paths are only purification of the mind. So some Mahatma says, Krishnamurti says, truth is a pathless land. So everybody quotes that. And therefore what? Don't follow any path. The Karma Yoga, all these things are paths, and we have a direct path. Some people call it as a direct path. What is a direct path? There is no direct, indirect, linear paths. They say truth is a pathless land. The statement is true. But so what? I am suffering. So what happens? Now I cannot ask, because if they ask, I am asking for a path. So I am stuck. So truth is a pathless land is a statement only because it's absolutely right, but that doesn't help me, because truth is infinite. Infinite is a pathless, because there cannot be a path to infinity. Infinite is infinite, and therefore it is pathless. But at the same time, I am looking for path, because I am going from Janma to Janma, and I need a method to get out of this. So I am looking for a path. So if I am looking for a path, and you say truth is a pathless land, I am stuck here. So what should I do? It says, first prepare your mind to recognize that the truth is pathless land. For that there is a path has to be. And therefore, Upadesyam Avapyaivam. So evam, in this way, in what way is going to tell? Upadesyam Avapya. Having gained the Upadesha means the advice by the teacher. You do this, you follow that. So a disciple is the one who follows the discipline. And so the teacher is the one who provides you a proper frame of mind. He says you do this sadhana, and sadhana is not for realization, sadhana is for the purification of the mind, so that you can clearly see you are the totality. If you are the totality, you don't become totality. You are already totality, but you don't know that you are totality. In order to know, you think I am a locality, and therefore I had to re-educate my mind. Therefore, I had to get rid of my wrong notions about myself. Wrong notions can be get rid of by the right knowledge. So right knowledge is required. And therefore, Vedanta Srotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha, you have to have a proper teaching, and you have to listen to a teacher, Srotavyaha, and then reflect on the teaching until no more doubts. Then contemplate on the teaching. Not contemplate on some truth, contemplate on the teaching that is directing you to look in the direction for the truth, and that's what is Nididhyasitavyaha. So, Upadesam avapya evam Acharya Tattva Darshanaha. This Acharya is itself is the definition. Achinoti shastrani Acharya sthapayichapi swayam acharati yasya tasmad Acharya uchyate. Who is an Acharya? The one Achinoti shastrani, the one who takes the juice out of the different shastras and Acharya stapayati, and who makes you who disciplines the mind of his disciples, and swayam acharati, he himself follows what he teaches. So his way of living itself is a reflection of the teaching itself, and that is called an Acharya. And Acharya Tattva Darshinaha, who is the Tattva means the truth, who has Tattva Darshana means who has the vision of the truth, that means he has realized what is to be recognized or what is to be known. And to that teacher, and who is Tattvadarshi? You remember we already mentioned, you cannot evaluate a teacher and you assume that my teacher is a realized person, and as long as I am learning from him, so that I have complete faith in his teaching. And that is the best teacher that one can find. And what is he going to teach? Panchakosha vivekena labhante nivrutim param. By Panchakosha viveka, by discrimination of the 5 sheets, Panchakosha vivekena labhante nivrutim param. So param nivrutim labhante. So param nivrutim, the supreme revelation is labhante. One can attain by what? Panchakosha vivekena, by discrimination of the 5 sheets. What is the discrimination of 5 sheets? He is going to tell in the next few slokas. In fact, the rest of the discussion is about the Panchakosha, and Viveka is required and how it is so, and that will be explained in the few slokas. So the teacher is going to teach because he is Karunanidhi. So why he is doing? Because out of compassion only, because he is not going to gain anything by teaching, because he is already full. When he is already full, you cannot make him more full because he is already infinite. So what else I can do to teacher? Nothing. Make himself comfortable, and at those times you go with they were sitting in the Himalayas, very cold country, so you take some firewood to keep the body warm so that he can continue to teach without any obstruction. That's what the recommendation according to the Upanishad. So says you approach a teacher, the pranipatena pariprasnena. So you approach a teacher with the firewood and with the humility. That's what is the Upanishad talks about, because in the Upanishad the teaching was done in the close Himalayas, in the open, where the teacher is meditating in a environment conducive for meditation, and student approaches the teacher and asks the questions. But nowadays we know that Gurukula system is not there. So what should I do? What kind of approach I have to do? You don't need a firework nowadays. This is from Chinman says, take a checkbook with you, and what is checkbook? Why? What does he need? He doesn't need any money. What he needs is the environment for the teaching itself. So in support of this, in those days Gurukula was supported by the kings, but now our so-called secular system doesn't support this. Therefore we have to support these systems of education, and that's what essentially take with the patram pushpam palam toyam. The patram is chakleaf here. So that's what Gurudev Chimayanda used to say, because we have the mission is there where the environment is created, buildings are required, and the teacher is required, and therefore the infrastructure is required in order to teach, and for that becomes an expensive. That's what you have to help in terms of that. So that's what is the recommendation is. So from now on we go into Panchakosha Viveka that he mentioned, and that we'll take in the next talk. We'll stop here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.